Thank you for joining with us today for our Bible study. I'm Fred Davis, pastor of Mending Fences Cowboy Church in Lebanon, Tennessee. We're located on Highway 109 just south of Gallatin at the Starstruck Farm. It's a beautiful facility. If you're not actively involved in the church, we'd invite you to come, enjoy the worship and the fellowship with our people. We have some very friendly people that I think you would enjoy, and we invite you to come to be with us at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings. We've been studying the book of Ecclesiastes. It's a book written by Solomon. He was considered the wealthiest and the richest man that ever lived. So if that was the case, he knew something about life. So in his writings, he sets out to discover the meaning of life. So he looks at every situation that's in the world. And he's been doing this now all through this book. And we're in chapter 6. We're going to look at verse number 5 in chapter 6. And he would never have seen the sun. This is a man he's talking about that had a lot of children, had a good family, acquired great wealth, but he also had great hardships. So he said, it would have been better had this man never been born. And he goes on to say he would have never seen the sun or known of its existence, yet he would have had more peace than in growing up to be an unhappy man. He might live 1,000 years twice over, but still not find contentment. Do you have contentment in your life today? Think about it. And since he must die like everyone else, well, what's the use? What's the use? All people spend their lives scratching for food, but they never seem to have enough. So are wise people really better off than fools? He's asking a good question. Are wise people better off than fools? Because basically, we may be rich, we may be poor, but we're all doing the same thing. Do poor people gain anything by being wise and knowing how to act in front of others? Doesn't make any difference. So in verse 9, here's what Solomon says. Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. There you go. Enjoy what you have, where you are. Accept the life that God has given to you rather than seeking after that which you do not have. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind. I know there are self-help people that teach courses and have TV programs and all of this kind of thing. And they simply say, if you can dream it, you can have it. Or if you think about it long enough, you will acquire it. Well, that's not what Solomon's saying. He says that just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, and he uses this phrase that he's used all through this book, just like the wind. He keeps using this illustration, just like the wind. The wind is something you cannot get a hold of. We don't know where it comes from. We don't know where it's going, but we know if it is in our presence. But when it's gone, and that is exactly what he is saying. So, In verse 10, he talks about the future, the determined future and the unknown. Everything has already been decided. Did you hear that? Everything has already been decided. It was known long ago what each person would be. So there's no use arguing with God about your destiny. The more words you speak, the less they mean. Get a hold of that. The more words you speak, the less those words actually have any meaning at all. So what good are they? It means nothing if all we do is speak about things. In the few days of our meaningless lives, who knows how our days can be best spent? Our lives are like a shadow. Who can tell what will happen on the earth after we are gone? Now, this chapter 6 is a short chapter. It only has 12 verses. And he's talking about the way we live our lives. God gives us the life we have. Accept your life, make the best out of it, and be appreciative for what you have. So now we're going to come to chapter 7 in Ecclesiastes, and verse 1. Listen to this carefully. We need to get a hold of this. A good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume. People today don't worry much about their reputation like people used to do in the past. As long as we can provide wealth and we have the things we want in life, that's more important. But he's saying that a good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume. We need to make sure we have a good reputation. What does that involve? The things we do, the places we go, the words we speak, everything that's contained in our life. And to me, it's talking about doing what you say you're going to do. Even if it costs you a great deal, make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. And the day you die is better than the day you were born if you have a good reputation. So after your death, your reputation will speak for your life. Listen to this one. Better to spend your time at funerals than at parties. I've made the statement many times over the years. I'd rather perform or do a good funeral than to be at a party anytime. Because a funeral will demonstrate who you were, what you've done, and the kind of person that you were. So, it's better to attend a good funeral than to spend our life at parties. After all, everyone dies. That is a truth that's universally applied to every life. Even if you're President of the United States, you will die. Even if you're the richest man who ever lived, like Bill Gates was at one point, you're still going to die. If you just live in a community and you live a decent life and everybody knows who you are and you have a good reputation, you're still going to die. Death is no respecter of persons. It comes to every person who has ever been born on the face of the earth. So the living should take this to heart. What should we take to heart? It is better to spend time at funerals than at parties, because we're all going to die. Take this to heart. Know that this is true. It's going to happen. Sorrow is better than laughter. Why would Solomon say that? Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us. In other words, when we're going through difficult times, we grow. Our life takes on meaning. When we're going through the difficulties of our lives. So, take this to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence upon us. A wise person thinks a lot about death. I've noticed the older I get, the more I think about death. And we should. We need to prepare for death. We need to get ready for death. Why? Death is coming. So a wise person thinks a lot about death, while a fool thinks only about having a good time. Having a good time can be stopped by death. Either your death or the death of someone else. Death comes to all people. Better to be criticized by a wise person than to be fooled or praised by a fool. A foolish man may look at you and think, boy, you've got it together, you've got everything there is. That doesn't mean much. It's better to be criticized by a wise person. A fool's laughter is quickly gone. I'm amused when going to a party or a gathering where people are and they're laughing and having a big time. But have you ever noticed the laughter stops? You may be going home, but the laughter stops. It does not continue. Now, a fool's laughter is quickly gone, like thorns crackling in a fire. This also is meaningless. This is what Solomon has discovered. Life is meaningless, no matter how much you're living your life. It is meaningless, and we need to keep that in mind. Finishing is better than starting. Patience is better than pride. Those are the things we need to keep in our minds. Finishing is better than starting. An athlete prepares for competition. They work hard, sometimes for years. The Olympics is going on right now. The Americans are doing very well. But those athletes have devoted their lives in preparation for the competition that they enter. And in a matter of a very few minutes, the competition is over. And you have either won or you haven't. All in a matter of moments. So, he's telling us that finishing is better than starting. Patience is better than pride. We need to keep those things in our mind. Thank you for being with us today. We hope you've enjoyed the study. I hope it has been thought-provoking and that you will continue to read this chapter. We'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.